Yes, we're live.
Okay, great. So, students, welcome to our Hangout on Embedded Software Optimizations class. We are here, myself and Chow, on the Hangout. Daryl couldn't be there today because he's out of town. I couldn't be on the Hangout last week because I was traveling, but I'm back here. Um, so, let's again start with some announcements. We are at the end of our semester now. You should be done with your pacing of all the videos and lectures and reading of the material and so on. And a couple of things, of course, reminders are that the last project and the last homework are due on Monday. So please, I hope everybody is almost done with those things. And as we'll post an announcements in the project, we have been hearing about certain issues for certain teams, which is very unfortunate that only one member of the team has really contributed. The other member has not even answered emails and all. We are going to take such things into account, and this is very unfair to your teammate, and it's very irresponsible. We are going to ask you to include in your final report the amount of contribution that you did and your teammate did, and the number of hours everybody has contributed towards the project and the amount of effort, and that will be taken into an account when we do the grading of the project too. It is not right that only one person does the work and the second person just gets the credit. It is not acceptable. The whole idea behind the team project is to expose everybody to a team effort so that you can divide the work, you can collaborate, because in real world, almost all software projects are done in teams and not in solo. So if you really are mishandling this particular part of collaboration and working with your teammates, this is setting you up for a very bad real life experience, and that will not that will result in something major problems for you. And here we are going to be very fair, and those who have not contributed, you will not get credit. As simple as that. So it's unfortunate I had to make this type of announcements, but I have been told by the TAs, and we have monitored some Piazza posts and emails that we gotten from some of you, which are really complaints about these kinds of uneven contributions from your teammates on zero contributions. And the other announcement I have is, of course, homework 4. Um, there was some question about tie-breaking heuristic. I'll just clarify that in terms of how do you report the MWPC solution for question 1. The way you do it is, if you have edges which you are going to list, you're going to be those edges are going to be identified by the node labels. So, for example, if there is a edge from A to B, it will be an ordered list A comma B. If you have multiple such lists in terms of multiple nodes or edges which share maybe the first node, then what you're going to do is you're going to use the second node as your tie breaking name. So let's assume that you have AB as one edge and AC as another edge, and you have to report this in your solution. Then you are going to report AB before AC, because B, of course, comes alphabetically before C. So that is the way you are going to write the solution. It's in terms of just having precedence in terms of the second node's alphabetical order. So hopefully that clarifies that, and hope the homework 4 is also pretty much finished. We are going to be ready for our final exam, so I want to talk a little bit about that. So as per the pacing schedule, the finals will be from 27th 9 a.m. onwards and until the cutoff date, which is at 9 a.m. I'm forgetting which day it is. I think it's Tuesday. So it will be from Friday to Tuesday. and you can take it at any time during this period. The total duration of the exam will be 3 hours 15 minutes. The real exam itself is about 3 hours, but we add 15 minutes just as a pad-on, just to help out in case of any setup problems, any proctor track glitches, and so on. By now, I hope everybody has checked their proctor track accounts, made sure you can log in properly, update the software on your machines, check your webcams, and do the practice test just to make sure that everybody is okay there. Some of you might be taking this proctor track type of an exam first time. So the way it works is you have to do the exam online using the machine, and the webcam records the complete video of your while you take the exam, and it records your keystrokes and flags any kind of problems in terms of cheating or anything to us if somebody is suspected of doing something. So it is monitored using video. The exam is monitored. From our side, we are allowing you to bring one scratch paper and use that for working out the solutions to problems, and then transfer the final answer to the text box which is given in the exam online. So that's how you're supposed to do it. Bring a scratch paper, a blank scratch paper. We are not allowing any cheat sheets in terms of anything which is written on it. A simple blank paper is what you're allowed, and one pencil or a pen, and you can use that to do your scratch work, because there will be some questions which will ask you answers to be worked out, the solutions to be worked out using the scratch paper, and similar to your homeworks, for example, and then transfer the final answer and some explanation in the text box. So those are the essay types of questions. Talking about the exam format, we'll have about 10 or 12 multiple choice questions. Some of them might be a single answer is correct. Some of them might be multiple answers are correct. And the about 6 or 7, there will be essay type questions wherein you have to work out the solutions and then transfer the final answer to the text box, which I was just mentioning. You'll have enough time. So again, as I said, the duration is about 3 hours. The exam is comprehensive. The format might be similar to the essay type questions will be similar to the homework problems or slightly more difficult. One suggestion for you is please do not leave any topic uncovered. This is a comprehensive exam. It will be covering all the topics from all throughout semester, because we did not have any exam at all, and it will get into details of the topics. So you are expected to read the textbook material or the papers and really understand the details, work out examples, solutions, and please don't leave any topics, or please don't skip any material in terms of reading from the book, from the papers, and so on. And it will be the level of difficulty will be similar to homeworks or slightly above. Um, you will have enough time. As I said, we are not expecting you to write long, huge answers or struggle and spend a huge amount of time on the questions. So if you prepare well, you can expect to do very well on the exam. On the other hand, if you leave something out, or if you're just relying on the fact that, hey, I'm just going to watch videos and not really read any material, you will be in trouble, because we are going to get into the details of the textbook material and so on. So just wanted to alert that, because that's basically how the preparation should be. And if you have been pacing things well and following what I'm saying throughout the semester, that please read the underlying papers or the textbook material, you should just be fine. So I just wanted to clarify it one more time. Um, Other than that, I believe everything else seems to be going smoothly. The last topic of network processors, I hope you enjoyed. These are very different kinds of processors which do a lot of processing in flight of the packets. There was one question about one particular um, video, whether it is on our pacing list or not, balancing register allocation across multiple threads. So this was just a suggested reading, but it will not be on the test, and it is not a part of our syllabus for this semester. It is just a suggested reading, but those who have time, please read it. It's a very interesting type of a processor, which has very weird architecture, allows you to declare some registers as shared, some as private, and the idea there is how do you keep the thread throughput very high, because if you, the moment you have any spills, you suffer from latency hits, and then the thread is switched to another thread. So all these issues are tackled in that paper. So certainly, by all means, if you have time, please go over it. If not now, later on, but it is not on the exam. And other than that, I think your questions and other doubts are getting answered well on the Piazza. And one last announcement, which before which we take any questions, will be that we will have special office hours on Thursday. Friday the exam starts, so last minute any questions that you may have, we're going to conduct special office hours, probably at noon or at 1. We'll announce the exact time on Thursday coming week. And prior to that, I have asked the TAs to return to you all the homeworks, that is homework 3 graded along with the solution, and homework 4 graded along with the solution, so that you will be totally ready for the exam. We will not be able to finish the grading of project 2, but that's, as far as the exam is concerned, it's not really relevant. So all the homeworks will be returned to you along with the solutions. So that's about all from my side. Um, Chow, do you have anything else to add in terms of any announcements or clarifications about project 2 or project 1 grading, or any homeworks or any questions that you might have seen?
No, I don't have any special questions.
All right. So if that is the case, then I think we are ready to take some questions. And I don't know how many are able to make it today, because they might be busy with the last project and the homework being graded. So, but if there are any questions, or if there is anything we should visit from the Piazza questions, we already talked about the tie-breaking clarification. If there are anything like that, please can you bring up Chow?
Uh, okay, I think the first question is whether we will have some like practice exam before the final
Practice test, you mean?
one. Yes.
We'll try to post some questions from the back of the book. We particularly don't have any practice test, but the the homework problems is your best bet. The problem structure will be very similar to the homework in terms of what we might be expecting from you in terms of understanding, such as working out a solution, or trying to do some solve a problem, such as show a grammar is ambiguous and things like that. So so the nature of these questions will be similar. What we also recommend is at the back of the book, there are several problems for the first part, and also the second part, in terms of respective chapter that we have covered. And we would recommend that you try some of those for practice. And as far as the papers are concerned, of course, we don't have any practice questions on them, but you probably should understand and work out some problems in terms of you should understand the formulation of the problem, in terms of we use mostly graphs as abstraction, and show how the problem is modeled and so on, and then work go through those examples, which are illustrative examples, maybe change some of them yourself and rework those algorithms to see how they perform on the new examples. That will be your best way to understand and go through those algorithms with different types of cases, different types of examples, so that you develop a very strong understanding of what is going on exactly in that problem. So that is what I recommend, generating different examples than what the paper has and reworking those algorithms on them as a practice.
Okay. And I think the second question is about the project regarding with Edmond Carbon algorithms. I think the question is how they choose the start, because in the algorithm they needed to choose the starting and ending node, but how do they choose the nodes based on in the context of the project?
In the project too, you mean?
Yeah.
What is the question? I didn't understand it. How to start the node for being in ARM or thumb mode?
Yes, in the Edmond Carbon algorithm, so they needed to. So the algorithm needs a starting and ending node, and the question is how they choose the starting and ending node in the context in the project. Can they just choose one of the functions that they pick up as a ARM code function?
I'm still not getting. So again, the starting. Could you read the exact question?
Yeah, I'll post the question in the Hangout.
Yeah, can you post it exactly? Or just read it out also exactly.
Yeah, I posted it in the Hangout. Can you see it?
I'm not able to see it. Let's see.
I also send you a text message.
Okay, let me see it. Okay, I think I can see it now. I'm having a hard time understanding the vague hints in the assignment of PDF using MFAS to find out the min cut. We have to provide the algorithm with starting and ending node, but I have no idea how to pick those in the context of this project. One of the functions we pick is an ARM code function. First should be the start. What about the end? Okay. Okay. So, so I guess the intent here is to be able to form a min cut, so that the partitions cost and so on is the transition cost as far as the cut is concerned is minimum. So if you start, for example, in a group of functions, which is as you identified as ARM functions, so the min cut would of course have all the functions in between, which will be in thumb mode, and the other end of the cut where you have the functions will be all in the ARM way. So you can start with an ARM as beginning and ARM as an end, or you can do thumb as beginning and thumb as an end. Either way is fine. And the min-cut will, of course, have all the intervening functions which are in a different mode. So, for example, if you started with ARM, we'll have all the other intervening functions will be in thumb mode, and the other end will be in ARM mode. And the algorithm will minimize this particular cost with regard to this. So you can feed such partitions to the algorithm, and the algorithm will then return you the meshed min-cut partition. So that is the intent. So you can do it ARM at both ends, or supernodes of ARM at both ends as one possibility, the supernodes of thumb at both ends as another possibility. And the min-cut will be generated with regard to this as transitions through some other mode functions. So suppose you started with ARM, it will be all thumb in between, such that the cost of all these thumbs will be minimized. Because any switch from ARM to thumb and thumb to ARM will cost you, and that's will be minimized by this particular type of a cut. So this is the overall hint that is there, and you are of course welcome to make more assumptions than these from here. With this, the hint is at a higher level, leaving you. It's deliberately kept as vague because we want to see what other assumptions you bring into this particular equation to make this algorithm more effective. So feel free to make any additional assumptions which will make this particular heuristic, the Edmond-Karp algorithm, more effective in discovering these partitions. So it's up to you to add any more assumptions to this. But again, the intent is to, if you take this particular algorithm, how can it be helped to come up with a min-cut more effectively? So within that particular higher level idea, you can make any other assumption if you would like to. Okay, so that's the sort of overall explanation for this, how to make this more concrete in terms of using it with the Edward-Karp algorithm. We will be happy to answer anything more. If you have further doubts, you can post online. Chow, any other questions?
No, that is all questions. I think I need your attention right now.
Okay. All right. I think in terms of, again, exam preparations and all, I guess best way to is to read and practice some back of the book problems and rework those algorithms on different examples, as I said. And hopefully, if you're again reading the textbook material and the papers properly, you should be all right. Okay, so I'm going to wait if there are, looks like there aren't any other questions at this particular point, but I'll check back in a few more minutes to see if some more students can join or are joining if they have any questions. So let me mute myself and wait. I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay.
Professor, I do have a question.
Okay.
So I'm trying to be sure I understand for what we're going to submit for Project 2. There was some clarification in one of my questions this morning in terms of it should be everything that we've worked on zipped back up and submitted. I just want to be sure that the make file we provide, that make is going to be run on the virtual machine. So it should be set up for that. Because the make files for the virtual machine and directly on the Pi are a little different. So I wanted to confirm where they were going to be built, and also if the version of our make file should include profiler flags or not.
Yeah. So so we want to be able to replicate and test out the setup. So please do include the profiling flags. as well as do the builds on the VMs. You mentioned that the makefile on the Raspberry Pi and the makefile on the VMs are slightly going to be different. So in your report, we do have a setup here of our own Raspberry Pis, which will be probably almost similar to what you have. But if you can add some details, if TAs need to get into the Raspberry Pi and rebuild it, that particular part, and check it, if you can include in your report those details of how to build it for Raspberry Pi, that will be great. Mostly we will be checking on the VM side, but if needed, we need to have an ability to get into the Raspberry Pi setup that we have and test it out. The last level binaries which are going to be run there. So you can add some of those details and also that makefile that you particularly have, which might have to be changed on our side for our Raspberry Pi setup, but if you can include that with some level of details and comments, that would be important.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. Yeah, because this project does constitute a good bit of credit, and this is one of the important projects, and we want to make sure that we are not unduly penalizing because of we are not able to replicate your results or have some doubts. So we need to you guys will be gone after the exam, so we will be starting to grade it as you take exams and so on. So we need to have all the details with us in case we need to, and we might contact individually in case we need some more help in rebuilding this at our end. So this is one of those things that we do not have shared infrastructure in terms of Raspberry Pis, and we had to somehow just mimic these VMs and our own setup. So please include these details. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to check back in a few minutes, and if there are any more questions, we'll be happy to take those up.
Okay.
Hello, Chao and students. I'm back. I just wanted to check before we close the Hangout for today if there are any other questions or anything that we need to go over as a last minute thing. Chao?
No, I didn't find any more questions.
Okay. I think everybody is probably busy finishing things off in terms of projects. As I said, we will have a special Hangout to answer any last minute exam related questions on Thursday. And Chow, we are all set up properly for the exam, right? With the roster and all that, with David Joyner.
I think yes. At least some students has reported that they have seen the sample exam.
Right. So those who are taking it first time, they really need to make sure their accounts are set up properly and their computer systems, and they are familiar with these things. What we do is we give the role to roster to Udacity, to the Proctor track, and then they set up. So you get an email after that. And if you haven't received email and things like that by now, that means there is something wrong. Once you receive it, you need to log in, set up your account, credentials, everything, and install the new version, and then test it out, taking the sample exam. And at that point, you are all set. So if these steps are not done yet, then there is something wrong or some problem with your account. Please immediately email Chow and myself, and we will talk to the respective folks and get it sorted out. But don't wait till last minute. Do make sure everything is fine and you're all set. And then once the exam opens, you can take it at any time during that interval. So with that, and again, I would like to thank those who were able to come on and ask some questions for today. I hope you faced the course and you really enjoyed it. This should be the end of it. Please do fill up the CIOS, especially in terms of course content. This being an online course, we have provisions to revise it, edit the videos, add more content. Any suggestions to that effect? Many of you are working in the field, so we do welcome good suggestions from many of you who might have certain things to add here in terms of what should be added to the class and so on. We want to make it relevant to the state of the art and make it really useful to those who are going through it. So please do give those suggestions. So do not forget to do the CIOS between now and when it closes. And we'll have special officers on Thursday. We'll announce the timing. And in the meantime, we'll finish off grading for homework 3 and 4 and return it back with solutions so that you're all set. Thank you and see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.